Welcome back to another episode of AK-47 Radio, back from the gulag, and sometimes back from space. We have Cosmonaut General Mikhail Gonsalves. We have the Commissar, Will, but that's not his real name. And
we'll never know his real name.
And possibly on my way to the dead, I'm Sam Alexander.
What did you eat?
We're not that lucky.
You're not that lucky. Close. I've got a little extra grit in my voice. I'm doing my best Nick Dooley from the AR-15 podcast impression, and it's still lame in comparison.
You sound fine to me.
That's a high bar to meet, too.
Except for it's such a low bar because his voice is so low.
You guys
are you baritone deaf? What the hell?
That kid's is what they call an oxymoron. Now, I got food poisoning intelligence.
You're still not over that? That's why I was like,
I caught a cold on top of that. Probably because my immune system was shit from having food poisoning. I had a cold off one of my kids, which is not fun. So it turns out Walmart rotisserie chickens are not to be trusted.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you ate the medium rare part, but
because I'm an idiot.
That's fair.
Because both my wife and I are eating. So I cooked, I cut meat for the kids and her first, and that came off the outside of the bird. And then I went down to the inside of the bird to cut for myself. And it's like, man, this looks a little underdone. But I didn't want to make a big fuss out of it because I'd made a fuss out of it one time, and it took that chicken like 45 minutes to come up to temp in the oven. It's like, whatever, it's been a long day.
Just eaten around.
It'll be fine. And then my wife had the same thought, but neither of us said anything. So then, yeah, following the day, about middle of the day, it's like, oh no.
You should have just eaten a $5 MRE.
You're not wrong.
Just eaten a $5 footlong.
They're not $5 footlongs anymore, sir.
Yeah, those
days. That is how we know capitalism has failed. We no longer have $5 footlongs.
No. We did capitalism this week, and it worked out great for both of us, except one of your packages decided to yeet itself into the state and then back out of the state.
Did it get put on a slingshot and then...
Well,
what the hell?
Well, if we're going to talk about it, we'll talk about it. Oh, by the way, if you're watching live, are we actually live over there on Rumble, guys?
Let me check on the plus thing. No.
Oh, we should be. Well, whatever. They'll tell us in a moment. They'll tell us in a moment. Anyway, so
yeah, we're good.
We did some wheeling and dealing and some arms dealing with the commissar over there. I wish I could say I sold you like 10 guns at a profit, but I sold you one gun that I was lucky to sell.
Yes.
This is kind of a dick move. You want to tell people what I sold you?
Yes, and I absolutely fucking hate it, but I absolutely wanted it for the military collection. I has barely used, only dropped once, M18.
And it didn't go off when you dropped it.
You dropped it?
No.
I didn't even drop that gun.
No, I haven't dropped it. But yeah, I got that. And then I got a screaming deal on some brand new in-package magazines for it. So.
Yeah, no, I bought that M18 last year, right? Like 2 weeks before SIG came out and said it ends today. It's like, damn it. Now I can't trust it. It's like methinks the lady doth protest too much when they came out and said all caps, it ends today.
Oh, I have already determined. So now I have 2 of SIG's AI-powered death machines. I have my Flux and I have the M18. But this thing is going to starve to death, and it will get fed at the range and at the range only. But as much as I love to keep my guns loaded, because what use is an unloaded gun? This gun will not get loaded unless I'm at the range.
I mean, it hasn't been loaded in, again, close to a year. I put exactly one magazine through it because I didn't have a holster set up for it yet. So I was like, oh, well, wait. And then they did all that funny shit. So I
Right around
sold
that
it.
time, I was looking into buying that same thing from you, and then again, Sig did the thing, and I was like, nah, never mind. And you were like, no, I'm not going to sell this to anyone anyway. I would never like risk their safety over it.
Oh, I didn't
But
say that. What I said was I'm waiting for it to go up in value.
And that's
So I
not
was
going to
waiting
happen
to see
ever.
if Stig was going to lose their contract, and then, but
That-
then I did the math on how many there are floating around, and like, yeah, it's never going to go up in value.
yeah,
It'll
even if
never
the
be
military, if the military does dump them, they'll just dump them surplus, and there will be a whole bunch of
We're
surplus
still not
M18s
getting
out there.
surplus M9s hardly.
say they wouldn't surplus them because you get a Democrat and you get a leftist in office who just like, oh no, we must destroy all of these. And it'd be
Man.
like, well, that's actually not a sad thing to have happen.
The real dick move part of this on my part is, yes, I got Death Machine Gun, but I got it for basically half price. But I also I looked up the value. This holster is an over $200
No,
holster, and you just
holster-
threw it in.
The holster was a gift because I'm never going to take my M17 out of the Flux chassis ever again.
That's
it's either
valid.
I have that thing sitting around, I try and pimp it on tax swap for $50, or I send it to a good home like an old dog.
It has already been getting upgrades. I got the bigger thumb lever in today, as well as the spacer and the portal, so I could take that muzzle plug out.
Ooh.
Neato.
Yeah, so that way, like brass and rocks and shit will just fall through the holster and won't potentially pull the trigger when you're reholstering.
It doesn't need the rocks; it'll do it on its own.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I
Definitely
want to
doesn't need
reduce the likelihood. I want to not give Sig the opportunity to say that it was brass or a rock or something.
Oh boy.
And eventually, because I just ordered it today, it'll look more like this. It will has tourniquet on the front of it.
Nice.
You could have done the Russian thing and just zip tied it to it.
Or
Yes, because I
super
don't
glued.
want to be able to get my tourniquet when I need it.
That was depressing to see. Okay, that's all I
You,
have to say.
you don't have to
Guys-
zip tie the tourniquet. You could just zip tie the tourniquet holder to the holster, and then you would have tourniquet in holder that's zip tied to holster.
At that point, I would just carry zip ties to zip tie as a tourniquet.
I bet we can make
Why
this
not?
work. Anyway, so I sold that to you, and then I went out. Oh, YouTube's gonna have a freak out. Oh god, it's stuck.
I already handled a gun on.
I went out
camera.
and bought me two Midwest rails with the proceeds. The first one for the 74 SU, the Krinkhoff. Full Picatinny on this one because it just matches. I mean, it doesn't match Zenico vibe exactly, but the full pick rails had to be on the shorty gun. I am very impressed with Midwest's quality as always. They make some damn nice rails. Like the machining, the finish is just like
Mhm.
perfect. Possibly even better than my Daniel Defense rail.
I've got a bunch of Midwest stuff on my Tavor, and I love it. They do good shit.
Yeah, if I got another quad, so like my AR-15 has a full length quad rail, Daniel Defense rail on it. That came with the rifle, and so thus it became my personality because I refused to replace it by spending that much money on an equally rigid rail. But if I did, I think I'd do Midwest because this is, it's nice. It's very nice. Installed really easily. Sometimes putting aftermarket rails onto AKs, depending on the actual width of the receiver. You may have to do a little filing to get them in there. This one dropped right in place.
Nice. That's unheard of for AKs.
Not as much as it used to be. That's more of an import thing where you'd get.
So you're saying
somebody-
PSA does a better job than the commie company or commie
not
countries?
a better job. It's just a matter of now it's a little more standardized. Also, lots of parts kit builds, but then you might be getting you're going between hell back in the day, even East German ones, a bunch of Egyptian Maoris, which can be a little all over the place, although they're still good guns. You'd get some guys trying to shove them into Chinese guns, Polish guns. Freaking hell, these days I saw parts kits on Atlantic from Azerbaijan of 103s. But the point being, like, it's a whole
Dang.
smorgasbord. But now this one dropped right in. So I was happy about that. I also got a full, like an 11-inch rail for my PSA 101 back there to throw on that guy as I dump more rounds through it next week. But freaking the package made it, within 20 miles of my house and then ricocheted off to Fresno, California. So we'll see that one eventually.
Yeah. Again, how did that happen? Did it land in the some sort of like spinny doodad where it just launches packages at random? It's this giant spinning disc, and it goes in one end and then shoots it out another
No,
end. Like it
what
could have gone
happened?
to LA, it could have gone to Bangor, Maine.
What
It could
happened
have
is the
gone straight
post
to you.
office. The post office got a new railgun for their new contract, and they needed ammunition to test their
Railed
new
it.
railgun.
You're both wrong. It turns out the post office in Aurora, Colorado has Iran centrifuges in it.
Mm.
But no, so that'll get here eventually. That's 4 for 4 if it goes to that post office. My packages end up going out of state somewhere. But no, it's got the little. So one thing I do like about this rail, but this goes for a lot, most in fact, AK-4N rails, at least a lot of them. You don't have to use both parts. You can use one piece or the other. So if you wanted to get kind of freaking metro on it, you can swap in the wood on top, which I might swap the wood back in at some point. Right now, I've got Gideon Optics granite sitting on top of it. I hate having optics above the gas tube, not because I think it'll overheat, but because I think it looks ugly as fuck. So there's a separate rail optic mount coming for the rear side, which is hopefully doesn't end up in Fresno too.
Yes,
but I like it. It's cool.
It does look now
It's
seeing it.
It's gonna get hot as fuck on that top
Mhm.
end. I can tell you that much. The bottom has the lower handguard has a good heat shield in it, but the top's gonna get hot.
I'd be interested to see how well that optic does with all that heat. See how hot you can get it.
I mean, I'll do some mag dumps on it. I'll get it pretty hot while it's still loaded up there. I do need to take it off and Loctite the piss out of it though. I pretty much put it on like get all fucking excited, but now I gotta go through and Loctite it so it doesn't rattle itself loose.
I kind of did the same thing with my new holster accessories I got today. I was like, I should probably Loctite these. Nah, just get it over with.
Yeah, Dusky in the chat agrees. Midwest products are so well made. You don't see that shit a lot these days. Indeed, sir, you do not.
What'd you do this week, Mike?
Sorry, I was busy playing with adult Legos.
It's a weird,
As one does.
So let's see. What did I do? I spent a whole lot of time on Ace and bombed the miserable shit out of a whole bunch of the dailies and got my ranking dumped.
You know,
so that was a lot of fun.
That phrase would come out a lot cooler, or not even a lot cooler, but it'd be a lot more positive if you were talking about your War Thunder plays. They said if you're bombing the shit out of something. Sorry. I thought it was funny.
Anyway, what else have I done that was interesting? Not much. I took one of my students, I guess you would call them at this point. We went to the range today, and I had him do 52 rounds that ended up being of Mozambiques, and 48 rounds, as it turned out, of bill drill. And he had a consistent hitting low left problem, and I was like, and then he mentioned later that he kept losing his grip from his support hand, and I was like, light bulb, loosen your support hand. You're over gripping. I can tell that by your low left, and the fact that it keeps coming out of grip tells me you're like way over gripping. So ease up on the grip. Grip it with both hands like you're shaking somebody's hand, not like it's gonna run away from you and death grip's killing you. And dude, he did like 3 more bill drills, and most of them hit the ring we were after, the X ring. So that was pretty awesome. Took my daughter with us, obviously, because I just had picked her up from school. So I had her shoot her rifle. She's like, "What if I don't want to shoot?" And I was like, "Well, I'm bringing your rifle, so you may as well." And she's like, "Okay." So she went and shot, and I just I let her shoot. I bought her one of them zombie targets that have the crosshairs all over, where you're supposed to like aim at zombie points. I think it looks like a zombie Nazi with a gas mask on.
Nice.
And she put it out at 10 yards, and she hit it in the head first try, and she was all excited. Daddy, I got it in the head. And I was like, that's pretty awesome, way to go. And then she sends it back down to 10 yards, zaps it again. She's like, Daddy, I just got a bullseye. And I was like, what? And where? There's lots of them. Which one? And she's like, in the head. So she hits the home button, and it's like she already knew it's coming back. It flops down, does the lethal weapon thing, and I'm like, sure as shit, there's a bullseye right in between the crosshairs of the target in the head. And I was like, damn, girl. Like,
good job,
then
kiddo.
She was playing with it, sent it down to 25 yards, took some shots at it down there. So I just left her alone and let her have some fun, and she did great. The stupid little pink gun still won't eject rounds, but
I think it's designed that way so it's even safer.
Yes, it's real safe digging my knife in there to get the rim fire out of the casing, or out of the chamber. The word escaped me for a minute. It was up there floating. I had to come here, little guy. Anyway, so other than that, just been doing ace dry fire, and I should be doing more real live fire. Oh, that's one thing I forgot. I was going to say I should be doing more real dry fire practice as well, which reminded me that I got a bunch. Our range session a week and a half ago, was it now?
Couple weeks, something like that.
Yeah. The range sesh back then made me realize, and I think we talked about this last week, about my magazine release on my Glock. Every time I would slide back, go to reload, pressing the mag release, it just wasn't doing anything. So I ordered a couple of extended mag releases for Gen 3 Glocks, one for my 22 and one for the 17, and put those both on. And I was like, at first I was kind of terrified, like, I don't want to fuck this up, because like, I get it, adult Legos, but on the other hand, guns, so gunsmith. But you were like, no, it's a single spring you can get with a flathead screwdriver, and so I did, and oh shit, that was easy. So yeah, swapped those out, and then I did a bunch of test runs, and they seemed to work out great. You say I might catch my finger or catch my thumb on the pointy end of the edge of the mag release, but we'll have to go out and run it through some drills and see what happens. If I do, I'll bevel it down.
One way to find out.
Yeah.
But you told me to bevel the edges, and I thought you were talking about the edges, like when you slide it in there.
No, yeah.
No, I also didn't do.
I just meant the tactile human interface portion.
Oh, are you talking about like the little tiny ridges, or are you talking about the big knobby corner?
I'm talking about the actual corner. Like, it's a rectangle when you look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just instead of leaving it like this, turn it into this on all four edges.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe my thumb might like it. It might not. If it doesn't, that's a good idea. I
also stippled mine. So I beveled it and then stippled it like I stippled the rest of the grip.
Stipple me timbers.
Okay. We're never doing this again. In fact, this is the last episode. Good night. I am that demoralized by the words that my ears hath just heard and are horrified by.
Well, you know what? I think I have an idea.
Jump off of a bridge now.
Manchester. I think I have an idea.
Doesn't even know what that means.
Might cheer you up a little bit.
Nope, it's all over now.
Oh, like I said, we don't get that lucky. You should start a discussion on the development of and fielding of the Mosin.
You mean our topic for tonight? Instead of I was the only guy here that doesn't give a flying fuck about Glocks or Glock derivatives. Every time Glock comes up, it's like, oh god damn it, here we go again.
Dude, it's
Says
just
the
another
guy
gun.
that won't
Like,
shut up about his USP.
right?
USP 45 tactical.
See,
Do you know the I have mentioned
Nope, don't
my
care.
Mark 23.
Don't care.
No, I've mentioned my Mark 23 in our group chats more in the past 6 months than I have mentioned it in the past 6 years in other conversations.
Well, you're finally getting some taste hanging around me.
No, it's because
Yeah.
I want you to be jealous that I have one.
We've gone into this in terms of jealousy. At least I shoot mine.
I shoot
Yes,
mine.
but-
Mike shot mine.
I did.
Anyway,
I shot it quite well, actually.
in
It's an
our
easy
was the-
gun to shoot well.
It
But
was
say,
a little
that's
front
not
heavy, to
saying
be fair,
anything.
but
It's like, hey, did you know this giant brick doesn't have a lot of recoil? Like, yeah, it's a freaking 6-pound brick. What did you expect?
Oh, it's nothing like a Desert Eagle. It feels just like a slightly enlarged pistol.
Anyway, so it took us a little while to get here, but continuing on what was our series that we were starting, which was History of the Gun. So we talked about Berdan 2 last time, which led us right up to the late 1880s. Do either of you ladies remember what year smokeless powder was invented and the nationality of that man?
he
You don't need
was.
to know the year. It was 1884.
Fuck you.
But do you remember the nationality of the individual who did?
He was
That's-
French.
He was
I know.
Belgian.
That's so damn lame.
I
It's
actually
sad.
was gonna guess he was French, but then I wanted to go something really, really dumb like Mongolian or.
Nope. He was
And
he was a
yes, I was
French-
going to guess late 1800s. I just didn't. So thanks for giving us a shot, you dick.
Oh, it was a joke. Well, I figured I'd skip the year because that's like I'm sure somebody remembers it off the top of their head. I certainly didn't, but I did remember a Frenchman. Paul. I can't do French names. Vilil. French names are terrible. They're almost worse than Slavic names.
Can you
Anyway.
like put it on screen or something? I can pronounce it for you.
No,
You
don't need
speak
to
French
pronounce it.
too?
He
No,
might.
a little bit, yeah. Actually.
Oh God.
Fuck.
All
That's
right. So
okay.
in
If
high
his
school,
name-
I took
if
French
his-
1 and 2, and then in college, I went back and took French 1 and 2 because I learned so much French 1 and 2 that I had to start back with French 1 in college.
It sounds about
So I
right.
speak that much French. as
Anyway,
much as 1 and 2 combined.
he developed powder B. But it was the first nitrocellulose based on nitrocell. Anyway, whatever. It's smokeless powder, sir. Smokeless powder created an arms race that I don't like personally. Looking at all this, looking at the history of like arms, I don't think there's been a similar arms race since smokeless powder until the atom bomb. Because as soon as smokeless powder gets invented by the French, who immediately call that shit a state secret, everybody wants it after that. Because, I mean, you guys are familiar with the downsides of black powder, but just to go over them real quick. First of all, the giant cloud of smoke that comes out of the end of your gun, kind of a bit of a problem for multiple reasons.
Kind of a buzzkill.
Kind of a buzzkill, tells everybody where you're at. And when you're especially, I mean, by the point you get to the 1880s, we've moved beyond like linear warfare and Napoleonic sense, but still massive clouds of smoke, can't see what the hell you're shooting at. But powder fouling, black powder makes, so the first bolt action rifle that ever gets mass produced is the Dryza needle rifle. The Dryza has an effective fire rate off the top of my head of like 8 rounds per minute, which is insane. Accuracy is not so great at long range. It's also hampered by the fact that it, well, I think standard loadout was like 50 cartridges back then. So imagine how fast you'd burn through it without a lot of discipline. But
Or
black powder
before you
problem.
need to clean the rifle because it's so fouled it won't work properly.
Or because it was a pin fire, needle fire rather, not pin fire, needle fire. Oh, this is going way off track real quick. But so it's a paper cartridge.
Always does.
Bullet is seated at the front. The primer is actually at the back of the bullet. So the needle in the Dryza system punches through the back of the paper cartridge, smacks that primer, but now your firing pin, the needle is inside the powder when it goes off. So eventually you burn through your needles too. But that's
a
first.
terrible design.
I mean, it worked really fucking well for the Prussians, and then the same design worked well in the Chassepot, the French equivalent. I believe it's the Chassepot, but we're not going there.
Chassepot was a machine gun.
No, not the original.
Oh,
Oh,
C66
by the
Chassepot.
way, are you ready for this?
We are forgotten weapons.
His name was Paul Marie Eugène Villiers.
Marie, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Marie.
so anyway,
How you
He's
doing?
saying
Marie?
it to me for
Anyway, late 1880s, you get into essentially an arms race, and where Russia comes in, I mean, the fucking French are all over it. The French push out the Lebel, which the Lebel is a fucked up gun in some respects because it is a. Actually, was it the Lebel first? Whatever. We're not going down French firearms. We'll leave that to forgotten weapons. We're going down the Russian end of things. So it is in 1889. The Tsar orders the Russian army. We need the smokeless powder gun and we need the high velocity ammunition because the other thing smokeless powder gives you is much higher velocity. It doesn't give you the powder fouling. So now it's possible to have a repeating firearm that will not gum itself up nearly as quickly.
mhm.
I mean, think how often or how little we all clean our guns. You do that shit with black powder. I can't get through 2 cylinders, so 12 shots on either of my black powder revolvers before they get fucking sticky.
To be fair, I do clean my guns after every range trip.
You would actually. I'm not
I
surprised.
used to, but
That's the same as me. I used to, and then I don't do it anymore.
they
It's
still don't get
cathartic.
to 1,000 before they get cleaned, though.
It's
It was-
cathartic.
It was
And a lot
cathartic.
of the times I'm taking guns out that are like I will use. This is something I would be willing to use for home defense or like concealed carry or something, and so I want it to be cleaned and lubed just in case.
Hear that for sure. The same was the case for me with a lot of when I went to the range in Idaho, which was basically going to Idaho. You would go find public land and just burn ammo. But I would I had the same mentality, clean everything when I got home because I could be using it for defense and I'd like it to be clean and proper.
shit.
And I was cleaning a Glock with 200 rounds on it, and that's so unnecessary.
Agreed.
Very moist lube, Dr. Scary. Also, Sam only put 1 magazine through this gun before I acquired it from him. I cleaned it the day I got it.
I don't blame
And
you.
I even took the FCU out of it and cleaned
You
the
don't know where
frame.
you don't know where that gun's been.
Valid.
It was the 1886 Lebel was the first French smokeless powder gun, by the way, which is why it is such a fucked up, wonderful piece of weirdness. Anyway, so you get to 1889, the Russians won in on this shit, same as everybody else, because Alfred Nobel, he developed a nitrocellulose nitroglycerin mix powder after Marie did, and then the British came up with cordite in 1890. So everyone's trying to get on this bus. Well, the Russians want to get on it too. And so they get 2 designs that come to the forefront, which is from Sergei Mosin and Leon Nagant, who is your Belgian buddy.
And then the Dragoon was born. So I'm sure we'll talk about it either later on this episode or another one. But
You're talking
this is a 1892 dated Dragoon receiver, but this is not technically a Russian rifle.
No, it is not. Oh man, if we're going to go down the difference between Dragoon rifle, as much as I'm glad in the modern world we have decided that there can be rifle, we can go. Well, we're going to do this conversation again. Rifles and carbines. At least we don't have rifles, Dragoon rifles, artillery rifles, cavalry rifles.
Yeah.
Like, bro, what?
Well, I mean,
It's enough.
The difference between if I remember correctly, the difference between the Mosin Dragoon and if we're going back to the 1800s, was a couple of inches shorter. So all your 9130s, so well, not all of them, because some of them would have skipped rearsenaling, but all of them that made it through the full rearsenaling process in 1931 or afterward were cut down 2.5 inches shorter to the Dragoon length. It's 2.5 fucking inches.
I guess
mean,
to be fair,
that could be to someone on horseback. 2.5 inches is a lot.
2.5 inches is a lot for all of us, man.
I mean, it really is.
Have you met horse girls? They need all those inches they can get.
They can get it from their horses. Have you seen horses? Regardless,
Okay,
2.5 inches from a rifle. It makes it a lot more wieldy when you're on horseback, which is why they're dragoon rifles.
Well, no, dragoons don't fight on horseback. Dragoons are meant to ride horses to a position, dismount, and then fight. That's the difference between a dragoon and a cavalryman. Cavalry is fights on a horse. Dragoons ride the horse to the spot, get off.
I guess to be fair, I don't know if this was a dragoon. I guess I misspoke there, but it is definitely a 90, as in 1890 pattern hex receiver, dated 1892.
Which are sexy as hell. Fucking Soviets, man, going to a round receiver. Bastards. Anyway. Excuse me. I'm going to get through this at some point.
You're getting excited.
Not getting excited. I'm going to have to take a drink and actually breathe. So between Nagant and Sergei Mosin, they end up coming up with two separate designs. Nagant's, just to run it down the simple ways of phrase, Nagant's is probably the more simplistic rifle. He also came up with the 1891 pistol, which is the horrible fucking terrible revolver that used to be cheap as fuck. But irregardless, my notes just closed on me. Son of a bitch.
Baja. No notes.
Yeah, no notes.
No cap, no cap.
Anyway, Sergei.
Why?
Sergei Mosin's rifle is the one they end up going with, which is the 1890. But they borrow features from Nagant's rifle, beating the magazine feeding system and the stripper clip designs.
Oh, they didn't borrow it. That's communism. That was
We're gonna get there. They
it's
borrowed
our system, comrade.
Enough that because the main issue is you've got the cartridge that was developed as well. So your 7.62 by 54R is a rimmed cartridge. Rimmed cartridges are notorious for not wanting to feed in magazines. If anyone's ever shot a Mosin, you've gotten rim lock before if you didn't stack them properly in the mag.
Mm-hmm.
So Nagant's magazine system, they rip off.
Which, to be fair, the Brits also did a rimmed cartridge in the Lee Enfield with detachable magazines and 10-round capacity.
I mean,
which is based.
The fucking Dragunov shoots rimmed cartridge too. So
Yes.
it's not an insurmountable problem, but it's a problem that can come up.
No, I just meant back in the day, that was the level of technology. Everything already has a rim on it. We're going to put a rim on this because why would we not put a rim on it?
Better extraction. Also, most of them would hit, a lot of rifles would headspace off of the rim, especially considering this is the origin of the field gauge as well. Older technology, older metallurgy, the more eventually you start firing the rifle and your headspace was expected to start running away from you to a point because the metal is going to be stretching and essentially you're going to be almost forging it with every time you fire little by little. The rim keeps the same headspace no matter what. Because you're not headspacing off of the shoulder, you're headspacing off of the rim. So one way or the other, you're usually not going to end up with a gun that's too far out of headspace. Anyway.
That makes sense.
Between the two of them, you get the lovely 1891 Mosin Nagant, which the Russians cannot produce in nearly the numbers that they want them. So guess who they contract some of the first ones out to?
The Finnish.
French.
Oh.
I was wrong.
No, they end up contracting out some of them to the French, which apparently they're still floating around. I had never seen one before until I saw pictures of it.
And apparently, by the time World War One rolls around, they still don't have enough because then they're getting lever actions from an American company for trench warfare.
And Remington made Mosins as well.
Yes.
So
Remington made a few batches of them.
So instead of Nagant, it's Mosin Nagant. Oh.
Okay, Grand.
What?
Garand.
Ugh, don't call me that. Fuck off.
Porsche.
Anyway, Nagant's not happy. Sues him. That's how he gets his name in. The Russians pay him a settlement, put his name on the rifle, and say, "Here you go." Which, if the man could look forward in time and realize how much the Mosin Nagant has been disparaged and called a garbage rod, do you think he'd want his name attached to it?
I mean,
It didn't
it's a
help that they
garbage rod
sold them.
now. It wasn't that bad back then.
It didn't help that they sold them at gun shows in America, literally stuffed into garbage cans.
Yeah, it doesn't help, does it?
True.
Anyway, I'm not sure how far along we want to go into this, but eventually Russia makes
At least
ton of
24
them.
more minutes.
We get to World War One, though. Of course, they don't have enough of them. So then you get Burden 2 rifles dragged back out in World War One. Hell, we could go down freaking the logistics.
We're not going back to Burdan 2.
No, we're not. I'm saying I don't know if this would be a fun conversation to have just specifically for World War One, but logistically, the fucking mess that is Tsarist Russia and then the Soviet Union. Because yeah, again, once you get to World War One, their logistics are so fucked up that they have rifles that they can't get into the hands of the people that need them. And again, they still at some point didn't have enough rifles early in the war either. But that is the origin.
I mean, we've all played Call of Duty where the guy in front of you gets a rifle and you get a stripper clip of ammo and you just got to follow him around until he dies in the campaign and then pick up his rifle and load it with your 5 rounds.
They actually do that in the Call of Duty campaign?
In one of them, yes.
I think it was
Dude, I stopped playing the Call of Duty campaigns. Like, I'm pretty sure it was with.
No, this is an older one, back with like the OG graphics.
Was this before or after Enemy at the Gates came out?
As after.
Okay,
they pulled it straight from they pulled that scene straight from the movie.
I mean, not really surprising. It's a good scene, even though from things I hear, highly inaccurate. They had plenty of rifles.
They did have plenty of rifles. The issue was, without going too deep into it right now, their logistical train was fucked up. So they were sending more men forward than they were sending rifles forward. So they weren't sending 1-to-1 ratios. They were sending more bodies than guns.
This I could believe with Russia. And I'm not a historian, so I didn't know if that was historically accurate. I just thought it would be a fun pop culture reference.
The actual scene in terms of we're not handing out rifles is contested. I'm inclined to believe it probably happened because it's one of those things where, well, there's no official record of it, but who's going to keep an official record of that kind of thing?
Yeah.
And even if it did, Russia, especially within the last 10 years or so. So Soviet Union, you can't get access to any kind of archival data information out of the Soviet Union at all, hardly, without being really fucking microscoped on. They open up in the 90s a bit, which is when a lot of stuff comes out. But then in the 2000s, especially once you get past the early 2000s, they clam back up again, especially under Putin now. Everything that is like negative, especially from the Great Patriotic War, gets totally buried because that is their, I want to say like founding myth, but in some ways the Great Patriotic War is like, that's what they're kind of almost adopting as like, no, this is our finest hour, so we're going to really lean on it. So anything negative coming out, you're not going to hear about. So
Fair.
people do
Dusky
say, well,
says,
go ahead.
Dusky says, so it was true-ish. We can quantifiably say that it was true in Call of Duty.
That is true. But I'm inclined to say it's probably one of those things that probably happened somewhere on a limited scale and then gets a little kind of like, well, we're going to apply it everywhere, especially when it appears in a very popular movie and then a very popular video game following that.
Here's my thing about that. Like there were literally millions of men at Stalingrad. The Battle of Stalingrad is what that scene comes from. That I'm pretty. That was Vasily Zaitsev's first battle in the. Well,
Ooh,
actually, I take
so
that back. Vasily, in the movie, the Battle of Stalingrad was Vasily Zaitsev's first battle, but it was also his only battle because the battle took place over the course of many, many months. I don't remember exactly how long. However, like Sam, how many millions of men died in that one battle alone? The
a lot.
Russians, like,
I'm
my
just gonna say
point
a lot.
is that there were millions of men at this city fighting for many, many months. You would think that if somebody somewhere was saying one man gets the rifle, one man gets the bullets, if the man with the rifle falls, the man with the bullets picks up the rifle, somebody somewhere would have said that was a thing that was said at that front. And for some reason, Enemy at the Gates is the first any of us has ever heard of it.
I mean, I read the book that's based on. The book is not like the movie at all. It's actually a like, historical, like nonfiction book, which threw me as a teenager. But
So Hollywood fucked up yet another book.
I mean, they turned a nonfiction book into a dramatic movie. But like the book isn't like focused on which some of the Soviet tales of their snipers exploits I also think are a little iffy. But
Exaggerated, perhaps.
perhaps. But anyway, hang on. So World War One, the Russians needing more rifles, order fucking hundreds of thousands of them. I think Remington produced something in the order of 750,000 rifles for the Tsarist Russian government, which all gets halted with the October Revolution. Because Lenin's like, fuck you, we're not going to pay for these things. And the United States is like, these communists are a little iffy, which is funny because the Tsar didn't pay for any of the rifles from Remington either. So I think it's on the order of almost 300,000 Mosin Nagants get purchased by the U.S. Army, probably because the government was just saying, oh, well, somebody has to buy them, so we'll take them on. You used to be able to get, through the civilian marksmanship program, a Remington Mosin Nagant, probably back in like the 20s and 30s.
I
So you
mean,
get a Remington Nagant.
it's basically Lend-Lease version 1.0.
It was. So was we also ended up sending a bunch of those rifles back to Murmansk and Arkhangelsk during the especially the Allies attempt. So the Western, so there's Britain and America for the most part, attempting to aid the white. Basically, it gets lumped under White Russian, but there's the Russian Civil War has a shit ton of little factions running around. But essentially, the United States and Britain both end up sending troops through Arkhangelsk just to try and stabilize the country and support anti-communist forces. It doesn't turn out, obviously, but a lot of guns ended up, for those Remingtons, ended up back in Russia, sent through non-communist, or sent to anti-communist, anti-Bolshevik, would be technically more correct probably, but anti-Bolshevik forces in, well, it would still be Russia at the time. It's not the USSR yet. But a bunch of them end up back in the country at that point too.
Yeah, Mike, check the larger boys chat.
I just saw the text from Duels. No, I haven't signed up yet. I meant to when I got home and then totally spaced it because the child was having homework issues. So
did I just time warp into another timeline or something?
No, we just had to remind Mike to sign up for a competition.
So I will sign up for zombies very shortly here.
Oh.
In fact,
next time, shut up.
I'm including the
it's fine.
chat in the experience.
I wasn't looking at the chat. I was looking at my notes, and so I stopped off on mid-Russian Civil War, and then there's a non sequitur that it's like, wait a minute, did I just black out for a moment?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. We had to take over, so it's our podcast now.
I would not be surprised.
I mean, it's always been our podcast, comrade.
Well, I meant R as in me and you, and not youngest.
Oh, R.
That was that one was, you can't be happy with that one, even with your low standards.
Do you know what a pirate's favorite letter is?
God damn it. It's a trick question. I've heard this one before. Anyway, next step in the Mosin development.
Well, next step is it gets shit fucked on both sides of the Russian Civil War. And then I don't know. I think we could call it there. I've been rattling on long enough, probably. Or we can go up to 1931. What do you say?
Is up to you. Either way, it doesn't get to 1939.
Well, we'll go up to 1931 then. Mike, you have a 9130, right? 9130, not 9131. My bad.
Yeah, I believe so.
Do you have a round receiver? You have a round receiver. What year is yours?
1940.
1940.
Yeah, it's definitely a round receiver.
Oh, it definitely is.
I sent you a picture of the manufacturer stamp, and you came back with the manufacturer Ishvesk.
Ooh, that's a good one. My M44 was a Tula. Anyway,
that's actually something I never knew about it, which is really, really cool to me.
You get to the 20s, Soviet Union's sitting on mountains of these fucking 1891 infantry model rifles. The short version of it is they decide we're going to re-arsenal a bunch of them. They trim them all down to that Dragoon length. They also re-update all the rear sights. The original, so the 1891 Mosins are all Arshin-based sight markings. They also have a different rear sight base. Depending, a lot of them, original ones have ladder sights. As time goes on through World War I, they do some simplifications to them. But the Arshin is an entirely Russian military unit of measure, which nobody else in the world used.
37 potatoes equals 1 Arshin.
Hey, I'm behind potato based.
It's like the horse people. Oh, that horse is 17 hands. No, it has 4
hands. Dooley's hands are mine.
Right?
Anyway, they update the sight to rear meters. More protective sight hoods. The round receivers are now, so they kept all the hexagons that re-arsenaled, but new rifles get round receivers because they're easier, cheaper to machine. They wanted to at some point update how the slings are attached and go to actual, like the rest of the world's using these wonderful inventions called sling swivels. Say that 5 times
Sex
fast.
swings?
Yeah, swing.
Sally fell swings down by the swing shore.
Exactly. Instead of, slotting through the wood, they didn't get around to updating that at all. But essentially updated it to have, and this is where a lot of your shit sticks come in, your garbage rods, is post 1930, because the rifles manufactured after that point are cheaper, easy to manufacture. Then you creep on to World War II's approaching, 1939 and onward. You get some of those mid-war, especially Mosins.
Some last ditch stuff.
Get kind of almost those get loosey-goosey. And then you get real bad garbage rods, which is what my M44 was post World War II, where they go in and re-arsenal a bunch of the rifles again and counterbore a bunch of them. Or you get we're going to take receiver from rifle A, shove rifle B's barrel into rifle C's stock with rifle D's magazine, and then E, F, G, and Y are going to make up the bolt.
They were trying to do AR things before AR was a thing.
Yes, they were.
I told you guys, I think I told you guys, my great grandfather was in the Navy in World War II, and he brought back a Japanese Arisaka that was absolutely a last ditch rifle. It didn't have any of the fancy features. The front sight and the rear sight were both fixed. So you just hope they did a good enough job milling it at the factory, because you couldn't adjust it. And the stock had visible hand carved marks on it, where somebody took a knife or some sort of woodworking tool and shaped the pistol grip to roughly a pistol grip shape, but it still has the flats and the high points and stuff. Like, it is not smooth at all. That's a last ditch rifle.
Oh yeah, it is. Same with some of the stuff that came out of Germany towards the end. Some of their last ditch Kar 98s, but also all the Volkssturm goofy rifles they came up with. But yeah, the stock might as well, again, like yours, or like you were described, might as well just be a 2x4 that they kind of planed the edges down on.
Yep, that's literally what they did.
Y'all want to see a picture, and this will, for people listening, this won't be nearly as exciting. YouTube probably won't like it either. Y'all want to see a picture of what might be the first photographic evidence of an American killing a communist?
Yes.
That guy.
Nice.
That is a picture of an American guard up at Archangelisk, holding up a dead Bolshevik with his rifle right next to him, and the magazine pouches down on the ground that were all
Hey.
stripped
A lot of effort to get that dead guy standing.
You know
He's
what
probably
though?
frozen stiff.
He wanted the
But
confirmed
still,
kill.
like,
And he's just off to the side, like he won't stand up on his own, so I just gotta hold the edge of his overweight.
no, he's holding it. He's holding
Looks
him
like he's
out
holding
here
his
like this
hand,
to keep the communism
not.
off of him. Because he's gonna go rinse his hands with like alcohol 14 times after he's
Oh,
done
and
with
there's the
photo.
other thing
Yeah,
about
but
Mosin Nagant.
Russian vodka.
Like, dude, he's literally holding him with fingertips. He really don't want that communism on him.
There's the other thing that's interesting about the Mosin Nagant is the bayonet was meant to be permanently attached.
Oh yeah.
So if you've ever wondered why your bayonet won't mount onto your Mosin properly, is because the bayonets were not serialized. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong there, but was not the bayonet itself was not. Here's a mass-produced bayonet. It's no. This bayonet fits your fucking gun, and it's supposed to, whether it's
this
hard to throw up
day-
easy, you hammer that bitch on and you leave and you don't take it off ever.
To this day, there is no Russian phrase for fixed bayonets.
Nope, it's just they're on permanently. Soldiers going up into World War II, even Red Army, your average poor Red Army infantryman had no frog for his bayonet, nothing to stick it into, except for Germans and each other.
I mean, as bayonets should. Their sheath is a meat sheath.
Indeed. That is also why the M44, the little carbine variant I had, again, that mentality of the bayonet has to stick with the rifle, stuck under the M44, which is why it has a permanently attached side folding bayonet.
I mean, that's the fucking SKS. And there was an AK in the shop the other day when we were doing our transfer.
Oh,
that
those are
had
Chinese.
But
So
still,
by the end of World War II, the Russians kind of get over, well, the SKS, yes, but with the AK-47, they get over this. The bayonet must be permanently attached. The Chinese with the Type 56 do not get over that one. The Type 56 has that underfolding spiked bayonet. They retain that from their SKSs.
yeah. I'm just saying it's not the most uncommon thing in the world.
It's not.
Historically speaking.
No, it's not. It's just an interesting it's an interesting fluke that nobody else, at least that I know of, really gets into. Everyone else has, like, the bayonet's going to detach from the rifle. You stick it on your belt. The Russians, even back, Berdan 1, I don't think had this issue, but I also haven't seen anything one way or the other. Berdan 2 either. But by the time they get to the Mosin, at least, they're of the mind that the bayonet gets permanently attached to the rifle. Maybe it has something to do, granted, all European powers at this point are using conscripts, but maybe it has something to do with the expectations on Russian conscripts that they're going to lose these things too fucking much. I don't know. That's a weird one.
Or they just didn't think about the concept of, we got into it later. Hey, we're going to make this sword bayonet for the 1903. Dope. Hey, you know what would be really nice is if we had a multi-purpose tool where we could carry one thing that did more than just one thing. Wow. So we basically made a field knife with the hardware to attach to a rifle, but that didn't really come about until World War II for the U.S.
Well, that and warfare shrank considerably in World War I. Because prior to that, everyone is again, that's why you have volley sights on rifles, because through the late 19th century, everyone's assuming the mode of war is going to retain larger formations of troops shooting at each other from 1,000 yards away, slowly closing distance, They're not fixated on the bayonet being the deciding factor like you would be in Napoleonic warfare. Actually, it'd be a little bit pre-Napoleonic warfare anyway. The bayonet being kind of the deciding factor in a frontal assault goes out with the Civil War, because by the time you get to the U.S. Civil War, everybody who knows anything about warfare, so this is why you don't like frontal assaults. By the time the rifled musket becomes the main thing, the frontal assault becomes suicidal. But that momentum stays with the bayonet until it finally starts to shrug off in World War I, where bayonets go from being sword length, because now we no longer worried about cavalry, so we don't need a fucking pike, and they get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
Until post World War II, now everyone's got bayonets that are actually knife sized instead of fucking short sword sized.
Yeah. And I mean, especially, I would say starting in World War, well, let's be real, starting since the invention of warfare or invention of the knife, definitely with the invention of smokeless powder and repeaters. If you're only carrying one knife into a gunfight, you're wrong.
Yeah. I mean, especially, well,
because you're going to have to live out there too.
How much?
Like, it's not just go kill and then be done.
Oh, we still got a little bit of time. The loss of cavalry on horses being a viable tool in warfare also has a lot to do, again, with just the bayonet becoming not a freaking sword length thing to where now it's being a multi-purpose tool. Because you go back to the earliest days of, well, not the earliest, because if you're going to like the fucking handgun in German and Deutsch, the freaking let's stick an iron pipe on the end of a stick and point it in front of us. But if you're going to say the matchlock days, that's where shot and pike formations are still, those continue up until essentially the flintlock. Even then you still have some pikes depending on the military back then, because freaking cavalry is still a huge threat. Because yes, your matchlock can fucking knock out a horse, but
don't some of the guards, like the super flamboyantly uniformed guards for the Pope, don't some of them still carry pikes?
Halberds.
That's
more of a Renaissance thing. The halberd is more of a Renaissance.
It's an axe with a pike on it,
more or less. Or a really spiky axe, depending on which direction you look at.
Yeah, valid.
But as pike and shot formations are going, the freaking Swedish used them in the Great Northern War. That was 17.
Thank you, Dr. Scary Guy, Swiss Guard.
Yeah, the Swiss Guard.
Sorry, I'm not Catholic. I don't pay attention to those details. That wasn't meant to be a diss. That's just a statement of fact.
No, sorry, I was looking up a date. Yeah, so 1720s. I mean, the Carolingians. So Charles XII's soldiers in the Great Northern War from Sweden, they're still running around using shot and pike formations very effectively. Because again, horses at this point are still a very viable threat. That goes downhill with the invention of the the flintlock, because it's far more reliable.
And once you got to even internal box mag repeaters, you could reload your rifle faster than you could attach a bayonet. So the bayonet started losing relevance because you could just start shooting more quicker.
Hey, I have a question about the shite and pike formations. Now, did you put the shite on your pike and then stab people that way, or was it like you got your pikemen and then you got your shitemen back there with like slingshites or
no, you like just the shite men were specifically using pikes to stab people in the butthole. That's how they got the shite on the pike, so that they would further infect more people that they stabbed. Medicine wasn't very good back then.
Get away from me with your anal pike.
Oh, wow. That was too much, sir.
That's what she said.
Anyway, I went a little nerdy on that one.
That's kind of your job.
Pike is one of my I think is one of the more interesting, that that transition away from pure. I mean, yes, you've got crossbows, you have longbowmen if you go before that, but essentially warfare is still very melee based, and then in comes the matchlock, which starts to grow the distance, and then you have this weird interperiod where shot and pike formations to keep horses specifically, but also other infantry away from your musketeers while they're reloading. Also, this is the age of, if you're going to, I don't know how many Sabaton fans there are out there, but Sabaton rather. But
I
your
was gonna say,
Wings
is
and
that how you
Stars,
say it?
it depends on how fucking fancy you're wanting to
You know
feel.
what, Mike? You're
But
the
if you're going,
pronunciation nerd. Why don't you tell us how to say it?
Well,
if you're going to your
I only
17,
know things that I know. I
late
don't know things I
1700s,
don't know.
once you're going, there's an overlap where you have almost armored knights with fucking pistols, which is epic as fuck. Because again,
Based.
in that 1700s transition, you have one of, and this goes later than that too. One of cavalry's jobs. This goes fuck even into the Civil War. They carry pistols because they are going to ride up within range and fucking shoot you with a pistol and ride away. Yeah,
Interesting tactic. Seems like it would work.
it's all
Yeah.
great.
And you
Vince
got
H had a great one, which is the last pikeman in the United States, were Confederate cavalry involved in the invasion of Colorado in 1864.
Dim's my people.
That one didn't go well for him though.
But damn it, they tried.
I find it interesting. I know nothing about that.
Oh, that's because. Do we have time to talk about the Civil War on an AK-47 podcast?
I mean, we could talk about it next week because we're short on this time. But yeah, I want to talk about it.
We're
Why
not short on this time, but I don't think we need to dive that deep into it.
We're not long on this time either.
But essentially, I mean, when it comes to the U.S.
We're
Civil War,
just
even back contemporary in the time, the Eastern Theater gets all the attention. Fucking Abraham Lincoln is on record lambasting the fact that Lee in Virginia and the Eastern Theater gets all the attention, which would be at that point Union losses, while in the Western Theater along the Mississippi River, because that's considered the Western Theater at that point, Union gains in the Western Theater basically get ignored by the news because nobody cares about what the fuck's going on out there. It's Virginia that's the exciting shit. And then by the time you get out to the Confederates poking into New Mexico and then Colorado territory, like, that's such a backwater, nobody's heard of that shit.
All right then. That's
all you needed to know. But no, they had a Western campaign in the early 1860s, and then a last little kind of a couple little extra stabs out there. Have you seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
I have not.
Okay.
Is that a Clint Eastwood one?
Yes, how have you not? That is my favorite movie.
I haven't seen almost any of his. Like,
the Dulles trilogy is excellent. If you can get over the fact that they're Italian, and Italian movies that were made in the 60s and 70s, probably even the 80s, they didn't record sound on stage. So all the sound effects are done in post-production. So this, like, you watch it and your brain wants to rebel a little bit because they're lip syncing the dubbed lines.
It's like watching an Asian movie with an English dub over it.
But most of the characters are speaking their original lines in English. You can tell where some of these guys are really Italian or Spanish, and they're not speaking English at all, but they dub English over it anyway. But also the sound effects. But anyway, that the battle scene that occurs in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is based on those Western those kind of Western pushes from the Confederacy. But they kind of overplay it because the number of casualties presented in the movie don't line up with actual recorded casualties in the war. Anyway, U.S. Civil War. We went from Mosin to World War II back to the Civil War. Holy shit.
Good Lord. How did we do that?
That's why I
dude.
wanted to do this show, is because it gives me a platform to talk about whatever the hell I want, and I just get to fly underneath an AK-47 banner.
Yeah, and I sometimes wonder if Sean knew what he was getting himself into when he was like,
I
"Sam,
told
do
him.
the show.
I
Sam, do
told
the
him, if
show."
you invite me to do this, I will talk about anything other than AK sometimes. He said, I don't care. I was like, all right, cool then. We're good to go.
I mean, that's probably why it's best. Oh,
I mean,
before I forget, Dooley about 20-30 minutes ago asked if I was signed up for Zombies in the Heartland in Nebraska in May. I am now and squatted up, so based. Go
I
shoot zombies.
I am gay and retarded, then I'm not going to make it out.
same.
That's all I have to say. I have no excuse other than
But if I get to go next year, if life is nicer to me, I will take DOS Vector SBR. Hopefully it'll be set up with a red dot, a light, and maybe even a can by then. And I'll run PCC with it. And then I'll have to ask the ATF for permission to take my own property across state lines.
gay.
Yep, super gay.
That is super
Speaking
gay.
of gay,
We don't need to know more about you.
Yeah, we already know enough.
My name is Sam.
Homo.
Hi. Speaking of gay, Virginia.
Mute him. Oh, dude, super gay.
Quick bit of industry news. We've got all kinds of gun gay gun shit being anti-gun shit being pushed in Colorado. Virginia right now. If you are in Virginia, you probably already know what's going on. If you're outside of Virginia, they have, and this isn't like, there's not anything you can really do if you're outside Virginia other than you need to donate to Gun Owners of America. Fuck, even NRA's ILA specifically. I don't necessarily like FPC, but we won't go too deep down on those. But
yeah, I'd stay away from FPC, SAF, GOA.
SAF, that's the other one. That's
damn it. Second Amendment Foundation, that's SAF. Gun Owners of America. There's another one that I'm thinking of that's like SAF but different.
Yep. So anyway, they want to. They're trying to pass an assault weapons ban. They are trying to pass a magazine limits 10 rounds or less with no grandfathering clause.
Oof, that is not going to hold up in court.
I mean, we keep saying that, but then shit just keeps.
They want to do. Hang on. They want to do
going to court.
I agree. They want to do a $500 state excise tax on firearm suppressors.
What the fuck?
Dude,
separate from any legal thing.
Did you see that somebody in Congress introduced an inflation adjustment NFA tax for like over $4,000, and fucking Janine Pirro gets on Fox News and says, if you bring a gun to DC, you will get arrested.
I think
period dot. Not just if you're an agitator, not just if you're there to cause trouble, no. If you come into the District of Columbia with a gun, expect to get arrested, even if you're lawfully carrying. Like, what the actual fuck is this timeline?
This timeline is the timeline of, I don't even know what to fucking call it. Rules for me and not for thee.
It's the new revolution. Do you understand how similar the Democrat Party and the values they hold are to the values of the Tory Party and the Loyalists and the
but
King George III supporters?
A Trump appointee.
Yep,
I get that. I get that.
They're all the same.
But yeah, that the Democrats are the Tories. And I'm not really sure what the Republicans are, because they're damn sure not the
same fucking thing.
You might be right, man. They're damn sure not the Patriots.
It's the meme with the two astronauts. And the guy's like, wait, you mean the Republicans, the Democrats were both Tories all along? The dude behind with the gun's like,
always were.
Always were. Anyway, Virginia also trying to pass That's just such a fucking litany of shit. Like they went totally fucking ape shit. They want to pass the carrying loaded firearms in public's illegal. I mean, just there's too much to go down. But essentially, Virginia, I'm sorry.
It's
You need to
genuinely
exercise. Like, go join West Virginia is all I can say. Fucking
Yep.
hell. The amount
it,
of crap that they are pushing through in Virginia is ridiculous. They're pushing through some really gay crap here in Colorado, but for once, another state is giving us a run for their money.
it's obvious what they're doing. They're ramming through their agenda because they have power and they can. And the only thing we as citizens can do to stop it is ignore it.
Ignore it, vote, sue, contact representatives, even though they don't really give a shit what you say. At least
They
you can
don't.
hear them.
I contacted my state representative for Colorado about this stuff last year, about like SB 003, the assault weapons ban and stuff like that. And his response back was, "Me too, Mike. I'm committed to fighting the communist gun grabbers too." And I'm like,
You're like, Chat,
sure you are, but there's nothing you can fucking do about it because
Chat GPT, is that you?
it may
Hey,
have been.
to be fair, back in the early 2000s, pretty much not far after 9/11, I was a little kid. I didn't know any better. I sent a letter to President Bush at the time, W, because my dad had been deployed. And I got a very generic, clearly he didn't ever read my letter back from him, and an autographed photo of President Bush.
That's actually
because I, as a kid, sent a letter to the president.
So he had the time to autograph that photo, or did he
Oh
get
fuck no! Somebody up there.
Oh God!
Stamp or
this shit was it was auto penned.
Yeah.
He didn't sign that photo. Oh boy. So yeah, Virginia's lost its damn mind. Colorado's losing its fucking mind again too.
So you got to ask yourself on this stuff. Genuinely ask yourself, if they want all of these laws in place, why aren't they doing it all at once? Why are they doing it one by one? Because that's how you get the people used to the tyranny.
Well, that's
you
like
can't do it all at once, because we'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not cool.
I mean,
and
that's
not only that, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I just tried to. I totally agree with you. So I'm supporting you before we get too far along here, because we're reaching.
Oh,
that
now
time.
We're short on time.
Well, yeah, because you started talking. When I'm talking, you've got all the time in the world. But so, like, again, perfect example is Colorado, because last year we had, what was an assault weapons ban get totally morphed into a firearms owner ID card.
Yep.
Which they swore up and down. Basically, the tone of their voices at all these committee hearings, all these slimy bastards, was like, this will be the thing that solves all the problems. And then this year, that same fat-faced chipmunk, New York Mets wearing Tom Sullivan fuckhead, is supporting sponsoring. I hate that guy. Sponsoring a bill to regulate the sale of firearm barrels. So now you can't buy a damn. If they get that shit passed through, you won't be able to buy a barrel.
It's not an if. They
check.
have a fucking majority. They can do whatever the hell they want, and that's what pisses me off. Like,
the thing that pisses me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I mean, that's just one of the things that pisses me off. But there is no opposition. There's nothing we can do about it. It doesn't matter if we outnumber the commie mommies 10-1 in our opposition, making our voices heard at the Capitol, with written testimony, with call-in, stuff like that. None of that shit matters, because they don't fucking care. The only thing they care about is their agenda, and they are going to push their agenda on the people until the people push back. Now, I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'll be done. The Revolutionary War did not start over taxes. It started when the British actually sent troops to say, we are taking your guns. The new red flag law is real close to it.
Oh, yeah. I just, the thing that kills me and has killed me for years is, like, I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends. I have family members that have signed up to put on a uniform and they've taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution. And then they've gone and died or gotten hurt or gotten PTSD or gotten whatever the fuck they got out of that supporting that oath. These politicians are elected by us. They have to take the same or a very similar oath to the Constitution. So do law enforcement. And they can just completely ignore it and throw it away. And what that tells me
with
is
no
that
consequences.
And what that tells me is that those people do not respect, one, their oath. Two, they don't respect the people who have actually had to go and do hard shit in support of that oath.
And they don't respect the Constitution either.
Absolutely. And that bothers me. You took a fucking oath. You gave your word. Where I come from, you break your word. You're a piece of shit and you are shunned for the rest of existence.
I'm one of those motherfuckers broke for the rest of my life because of that oath. And what's going on currently, like there is genuinely little wonder to me that so many veterans are so anti-government, because we work for the government for so long. We see the true colors, we see it for its true nature, and then it spoils us on. And to be fair, the feelings are valid.
Mm-hmm.
Like our founding fathers would be rolling in their graves if they could see what we let this country turn into.
Mm-hmm. Also, to end on a slightly more humorous note, Dr. Scary Guy says he's going to give me the weakest handshake he can if he ever meets me in person. Dr. Scary Guy, I've shaken hands with Obama. I guarantee you cannot outdo that weak handshake.
You demonstrated it. I felt like I needed a fucking shower. Oh, no.
Did not like.
All right.
That makes me think of the King of the Hill episode where Hank meets G-Dub. And Hank is just as put off by G-Dub's limp wrist handshake.
Yep.
Anyway,
if you are a man who doesn't have a girly ass handshake, go leave us a review. If you don't leave us a review, you are a woman.
And have a girly ass handshake.
Or if you are a woman and you want to leave us a review, that's cool too.
If you're that chick from Ross Martin who was like man handshake at GunCon, you're good in my book.
Baller. She's based.
She is based. Anyway, leave us a review so we can keep spreading propaganda all over the place, because propaganda is good if it comes from us. Got it?
It's the best kind of ganda.
Sounding
it's
very governmenty there.
Hey, it's like I said earlier, I'm fine with autocracies. As long as I'm the autocrat. It's when someone else is in charge, I don't like it as much. Get out there, serve your party with pride, meaning just don't be a dickhead who steps on your own freedoms, or support people who does. Go out in the field, get training, get medical training, learn how to use a compass, don't get lost. A dead Wolverine is no good to anybody. And frankly, you'll never be as cool as that guy who has that first KIA picture with the dead Bolshevik if you don't know how to shoot or survive more than 10 hours out in the woods.
Or prop up a dead body.
I'm telling you, that dude was probably frozen stiff as a board. It was just a matter of like barely holding on to him so he didn't fall over. All right. Good Nacht.
Bye.
Was that the proper? Dos Vidania.
And